Okay, so... Oh, no. Spoiler alert for that. What I have here is something I should have been sent a while ago, but I waited patiently. Ooh. This is the Drop plus THX AAA ONE linear amplifier. And... you know my 789? It's not here. 789s are up on the shelf back there. Because the A90 exists. And this beats it. And I have one, so why would I bring this? Oops. So this is the only single-ended version of the 789. And it's got slightly different power ratings. And it's cheaper. $200. $200 to get into AAA THX tech. That's a pretty enticing deal now. Now I know they dropped. The 789 used to be like $400. Then for a period of time it was selling on eBay for like $1,200. But I went like jack, two hands on the 789. And then stock started getting back in. People started getting them. People started loving them. They went from 400. It dropped down to 300. Which I believe which I believe is what it is now, correct. Both on Drop and Amazon, they have it for 300. So, how do we make THX even more affordable? Drop the balance, since the 789 did have some issues with balance, like with the pot being weird. Let's just do a single-ended. This is just an amp. And first off, I love the box. Like, it's the same dimensions as the other stuff from Drop. It's just thinner, but it weighs... I feel like it weighs more than the 789, which is sort of strange. I'll probably disconnect it and show it to you at the end of the video. Currently, I'm using RCA cables like that long, which means I can't just pick it up and show you, because I'm an idiot. And when I was hooking this up, I was like, I'll just use the shortest cables possible, because that's smart. Until now. Now it's not smart, now it's dumb. So... how's it sound, Zeos? Let's just get this out of the way. It sounds incredible. It sounds exactly like I expect a THX 789 to sound. Or at least the single-ended end of the 789, which I rarely use, because when you have a balanced amp, you want to use it balanced, because that's the whole fucking point. But when you give me a single-ended amp, like a shit Magni 3, or a shit Heresy, or this Rebel amp, or topping L30, we'll get to you, or even this Flux Labs SE12, FL12S. This is a single-ended amplifier. It has a balanced port, but it's all single-ended. That's just for convenience. And mentally, you're like, I still want to use the balance port. It's obviously better. It's got more pins, but it doesn't matter. But now that I can compare, now that I am limited to only having single-ended and not having that, like, well, I could. Now that it's designed specifically for single-ended, let's have a listen. One thing I have noticed in my use of half a dozen headphones, low gain's too low. Super sensitive IMs, you're probably fine on low gain. Medium gain can get you there at the tippy top. So I've been on high gain for every headphone. Every headphone needs high gain. I haven't brought the Sigma Phoenix down to try that. I mean, I have like 50 headphones, give me a break. But, and the thing is, it's very linear volume control, even more linear so than I think the 789. They're just using a different pot. So when you put it on high gain, you could run it low, medium. Noon is like, listen up. You almost always want to have your, like, I am listening to music on my amp. Noon. Whatever gain setting gets you to noon for happiness is where you want to be. Because the bottom part of a pot, there can be channel discrepancies and bad things. The top part of a pot, the top part of a pot can indicate you're getting way too close to clipping an amplifier. So don't. So noon is where you're aiming. And on noon, high gain is where I want to be. on every headphone. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is 150 ohm. These Mackeys are the MC 450s. Noon. High gain. This is a quiet song. Let's go to something a little bit louder, like System of a Down. There you go. $11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. It's like that's butter zone. Now, these weren't that easy to drive either, but okay, let's try Sundara, because Sundara, everyone knows Sundara. It doesn't need that much power. Let's go Sundara. Links to all these headphones. I love them in the description. Moving on to Sundara. High gain. Noon. 1 o'clock. God, I love Sundaras. Phoenix or Sundara? I don't know the answer. If you don't own one, buy the other. If you don't own either, buy them both. I can't pick a favorite. That's like saying Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. You'd get real bored of Mickey Mouse's clean attitude after a while. And then Donald Duck is also annoying to listen to, but at least he's fun. You know, Donald Duck goes out and fucking drinks. He drinks hard, he gambles. You'd have more fun with Donald Duck. But at some point, you're going to get tired of that. You're going to go Mickey Mouse. And Mickey Mouse is good cooking and everything, but at some point, it's going to be like, Jesus Christ, Mickey, loosen up. So, to answer the eternal question of Civica Phoenix or Sundara, it's both. All right? I'm not telling you which one's which, but that's how we're going with it. The last headphone here, excuse me while I unplug tons of shit. It's okay. I'm Zeos. I can just make piles of things. T60 Argons, which, of course, you cannot buy because I reviewed them, and Ryan makes them by hand, and he's like, oh, he should raise his prices. We should start a petition to have Mod House raise his prices. Has that ever been done? Like, you're undercharging us. Listenable at 2 o'clock. Like, as loud as I'd ever go for System of a Down is at 2 o'clock. Now, I'm gonna say this. Please listen to the words and understand what I'm saying. This is a very clean, very proper amplifier. But that doesn't necessarily mean I enjoy all of my headphones more than any other headphone on this particular amplifier. Especially since I have the Rebel amp just sitting here, just waiting. Like, yes, it's clean. Yes, it's linear. Yes, this is like the benchmark. But I could kind of go for a little bit of stank, just a little like bit of something in an amplification. And like the Neumanns are very neutral. So listening to very neutral headphones through very neutral amplifier, yeah, that's pretty good for like mixing, mastering. But pleasure listening, I tube these. Or you could Class A them, or you could throw them on some crazy flux amp. I'm turning all the knobs. So I guess what I'm saying is, just like get a bunch of headphones that, you know, you enjoy the flavors of. Well, I want Rocky Road, and I want Vanilla Bean, and then I want like cookies and cream, and then mint. Oh, you want all these flavors. No one should have just one flavor of ice cream in their life. Well, imagine that all the amplifiers are the toppings. Do you want, you know, peanut butter cups crumbled on top? Or do you want it plain? Because this is plain. You want your mint chocolate chip ice cream with nothing on top, you get a THX amplifier. You get AAA. And that's it. Then you get only the flavor of your headphone. But you want chocolate sprinkles. And then a tube amp, like a crazy tube amp. That's like hot fudge and whipped cream. So yeah, you still have the underlying flavor there, but you've got all these other complicated flavors. This is the best analogy I've ever come up with. Zeos, link ice cream in the description. Tillamook is one of the best. So depending on, like, if I go to, I did this before I started the review. This is for the one linear. I did Control F. It's already there. You want to see how many zeros are on this page? A lot. Also includes the dimension and the voltage, but all these zeros are all the percentages of a percent of total harmonic distortion plus noise. at 30, 300, 32, 16 ohm, and then with DFD, and then with crosstalk. Like, there's so many fucking zeros. So many zeros. Like, they can't sell you anymore on the zeros. It's like, we got, how many? We have 47 zeros on it. It's only 47? 47 of 240 matches. There's 240 matches? A lot. I feel like it's almost 240. Actually, there are 240. It's a lot. All right. All you gotta fucking know is that when it comes to zeros, the THX is queen. Now, the THX 789 was beaten for what I would consider musicality by the A90 here, which is a $500 amp. So the THX 789 was $400, then was absurdly priced, and was back to $400, then dropped to $300. And then a $500 amplifier came out a year later that was finally able to take it as linear, but with a little bit more, you know, gusto. It actually, this thing is fucking powerful as shit, this topping. Even more powerful than the 789. But it's still $500. So now, THX is going to aim the other direction. Go cheaper. $200 for this. For what this can do with that. So the only thing that I could think of right now as competition for the drop THX AAA ONE linear amp is that little guy. The topping L30, which I just reviewed. And I basically said in the review of the L30, if you took the single-ended out of the topping A90, because again, $500 mega amp, if you took just this bit and plopped it into a box with less power, because there's obviously less going on, it's essentially that. So now that, at 160, is direct competition to this at 200. So, let's unplug these. Let's pick a headphone. And I'm going to A-B real quick and tell you what my thoughts are. The most trusted headphone. Always the most trusted headphone. Not the most comfortable, but the most trusted. So, we have got high gain set on both. This one's being fed, by the way, from the Aoun S8, which is like a $1,000 DAC. And I don't want to split the outputs and start fucking with it. So I'm just using the topping D10S, which is also a very good DAC. I'm gonna try not to listen past the amp, which is like, Zeos, what are you fucking talking about? But shut up. I need to get this done without spending 8 hours rearranging my desk. So just like its big brother, the 789, when you plug into it, there's a slight muting, and then it comes on because it detects you're shorting it out. There's no LED on the front of this either. None. It's just a power button, which is analog. The gain switch, which is 1, 2, and 3. The volume knob, which I actually find incredibly satisfying to turn. I don't know why. I think it's the dimensions and how much it sticks out. And then you swap between headphone out and pre-out, because that's what you have in the back. Jack Reacher's playing. Ah, what a great movie. The first one. The second one was hot shit. Don't give Jack Reacher a kid. Make Jack Reacher the protagonist. He's got to be the guy that's doing things. Jack Reacher doesn't fucking run. That's why they fucked up with Jack Reacher 2. Jack Reacher 2 is Jack Reacher running away. Jack Reacher attacks. Actually, I can place this up here for faster switch. Both of these amps have to be up quite a bit to run these. Like, this is right here pointing about 2 o'clock. This is too quiet a song. The Revenant, Rush, Yankee and the Brave from Run the Jewels. Goodbye Cruel World from Pink Floyd, no. Goodbye Blue Sky. They say goodbye in 2 different songs on the same album. Actually, Goodbye Blue Sky has got a good... I feel like and I've obviously done this test before this video. Did you see the Crichton ones? All the way in. Go. I feel like the topping is just a little bit softer. Now, you take that as you will. I'm not saying, well, I want a softer amp, therefore I want the L30. I'm just saying that the THX is doing exactly what I expected to do. It is delivering the most linear sound. It is just it. Any sort of softening, if this is more correct via math than this, A, I'll be shocked. But B, that would mean that this is sharpening the music, which even if that was what it was doing, it isn't like it's a harsh amp. Like, there are amps that have like sound signatures that are like, oh, this is a soft amp and this is a harsh amp. This is a fight for dead neutral. This is like if you drew that line, but you didn't draw it with a pencil, 'cause that's too fucking thick. You drew this with like a reflected laser that's in some sort of like suspended space in the fifth dimension where you can't actually see the line unless you're on the side of it, because it's a plane. That's what these are fighting over. These are fighting over being the middle Rick Sanchez. The most middle Rick. Isn't that the weird guy? Wait, is that the weird one? I forget. I have to go back and rewatch all of Rick and Morty to get the lore correct. So either this one is absolutely perfect or this one is absolutely perfect. If this one's perfect, then this one's a little bit softer. Could also be the DAC, keeping that in mind. It's probably the DAC. Honestly, it's probably the DAC. I'd have to swap back and forth. Why'd you die? All right, it's honestly the DAC. It's honestly probably the DAC doing this. So if I'm sitting here and it's just so fucking close that I could hear the bottom end of the DAC, then I'm having a real hard time picking them apart. I can't deny the AAA tech. It's absolutely great. And I kind of love the form factor of this. Like, love it. Like, this is okay. Like, this is great. And it's cute. And it's small. And it'll fit on your desk. But this feels like a piece of equipment more than that does. I'm going to shut this off. I'm going to unplug it. They're both power bricks, by the way. And I'm going to disconnect these very, very tight RCAs. Which, by the way, are the JDS Labs ones that are stiffened with metal. So they literally go, and they just stay there. Look at this thing. Oh my God. I am turned on by the build of this with these sharp edges. 30 volt, 0.4 amp is what this takes. That's like, I don't do a lot of like electrical engineering, but I open up a lot of headphone amplifiers. And not a single fucking one of them takes 30 volts. So you know this is doing something different than every other amplifier. Here's your inputs, RCA. Here's your outputs, preamp, which are again switchable on the front. Here's your preamp, in or out. Very satisfying volume knob. Like, it doesn't rub, and it's just got a nice thick fat cut indicator. Doesn't need to be a different color or contrast. It just exists. Better than you, Flux, with your little dot. Better than you, Geshelli Labs. I'm gonna say better than the topping because it's just that little white little, like, that's an indicator. At least it's big enough. You're doing okay here, topping. This thing, which you haven't gotten to see this yet, but that's a headphone amp switcher. And then your 3 gain settings, which are pretty much it's worth getting this just for that. But you're only gonna do level 3 and then leave it there. Power, and then your plug. So I love the simplicity of it. I love the box is like, if I was getting shot at, I would definitely guard my face with this thing. This device complies with Part 15 of FCC. I should really read Part 15 of the FCC rules. I don't know what they actually stand for. I feel like if this was a year ago, this would be the hottest fucking thing on the market right now. Like the hottest shit. There are other things out. Geshelli has the Arkle 2.5. This topping L30 exists. Magni and Madi are actually good. Like Magni Madi combo or Madi Heresy combo are good. We got the JDS Labs Atom. See, things like that. Like there's so many things that this is fighting against. And I'm probably going to mark it down in my heart. Big X on my heart. As this is the most linear. If you're a freak for linear, you're going to buy this. If you're okay with stepping down to a little bit smaller, maybe the power is not quite as good. Because this thing has got... I didn't actually read you the number. I pointed out all these zeros, but I didn't actually read you... Yes, I want to make sure I'm not in the 789. I have the 789 open because I was comparing. 789, single-ended output at 16 ohms is 3 watts. This single-ended output at 16 ohms is only 1,500 milliwatts, which is half the power. But at 32 ohms on the 789, 1.8 watts. And at 32 ohms on this, 2.7 watts. So there's more power where it's more needed. Because you can have more and more power when you get to like 8 ohms, but you're not powering speakers with it. So they actually managed to shift the power from 16 to 32 ohms. And then we've got an output power on the 789 at, where are we? 300 ohms is 200 milliwatts. And at 300 ohms is 280 milliwatts. That's almost a third more power on this outputting than the 789. So this is a better single-ended amplifier than the 789 is, which is known because if you got a 789, you burn balance. If you don't have a balanced headphone, you don't buy a 789. You buy this or this or this or that. Is there anything else I want to point at? I like pointing at things. Yeah. So you have a little bit of choice in this range, but I'm going to give it to this. Even if just for the fucking build. Like if they made this less good, maybe you could get it down to like 180 bucks. But why? It's so nice. I would easily put that monitor on top of it because we don't even get warm. Like I was running it for like 4 hours just now. And there's no reason to have vent holes. It's just letting dust in. So yeah, I think Drop has another winner. It's another winner. And if you don't have an amp already, flip a fucking coin. It's either 160 or 200, or I think the Arkle is 170. And then like if you're gonna blow all, if you're like I just want to blow all my money, Zeos, don't even concern yourself down here. Rebel Amp Class A, Flux Labs, also same price as Rebel Amp Class A. You've got the A90, which is like the benchmark in my mind for all amplifiers, for all linear amplifiers with a little bit more just going on for it is that. So I'm sitting here with nothing but winners in front of me. So you're not going to go wrong. Like people are always like, Zeos, I don't want to fuck this up. And then they list like 6 things that are all winners. And I'm just like, you literally can't. You cannot. You could give this list to your mother. And your mother, God rest her, could fucking put together a banging goddamn headphone system. Because nothing in the list that I do, nothing on Headfi, on Hi-Fi Guide's Freudian slip. Nothing on Hi-Fi Guide's list is bad. That's why we made the list. That's why that website exists. And the forums are there so you guys can talk about if we think something we picked is bad. Civica Phoenix. I love it. DMS hates it. I don't know why. But I want to know in the forums if who here has it and just is like, oh, I agree with DMS, it sucks. Or agrees with me. These ones that are comfortable are one of the best headphones experiences you could have under 1,000. Like, who's right? No one's right. I mean, I'm right. But no one's right. I have the argument on the forums. So, if you have a THX AAA ONE linear amp, go to the Hi-Fi Guides forum. See what the post is saying. Argue with other people who have the topping L30. I need to see the arguments from on high on my like stoop on top of the thing. I'm looking down like, all right, who's winning this argument? Who's winning this argument? Because honestly, I'm giving it to this. It's a gift to THX. Here you go. Topping L30 is not going anywhere. It comes on and off my desk as I see fit. But this, and then think, oh, for a little bit more money, and you want to stay single-ended, maybe you just want to go out and get the, you know, JDS Labs EL amp, which used to be on the desk, and I took it off because it was just in the way. But it's like, everything's good. I feel like I should make a video just called Everything's Great, and just try to explain this in a separate video. Thank you to Drop for sending this to me, by the way, finally. I shouldn't have had it. It should have come months and months ago, but, you know, I don't want the stress of selling out. Just dust off my shoulders a little bit. But thank you for that. Links to this. Links to fucking... Oh, my God. I listed so many things. I'm so sorry. So sorry, future Zeos. I know you're sitting there on the couch upstairs just typing it into fucking Telegram. Everything you're saying right now. And you're like, I fucking hate this 6 hour ago asshole. That wallpaper. Been sitting around for a while. I like it. I don't know why. I don't know why I picked it for this. Seems great. She's the one. I'm the one. You're the one. No, she says 2, but 1. Wallpaper in the description. Feel free to crop it out, put it on your phone. Or if you ever run a vertical monitor, there you go. Links to this, everything else. Patreon and Subscribe Star. This channel, when I need to pay my mortgage, is very important to me. So if you want to support this channel and you want to see these reviews early, check out either one of those support platforms. For $5 a month, a measly $5 a month. You don't even give that much to homeless people. You know it. You should, though. The ones that aren't cracked out and try to stab you. The nice ones. There's nice homeless people. Give them money. Get them off the streets. $5 a month lets you see these reviews early, participate in the yard sales, and ask me any questions when on platform. Don't know what a yard sale is? 1st to the 10th of every month. Items that are sent to me by companies say this, or say these, or say, no, none of that shit. Don't look at there. Or her? No, maybe not. But any items that either are sent to me by companies or I've purchased with the money raised by Subscribestar and Patreon, or items donated to the channel, my fans, are sold for a profit for me, usually at, I would say pennies in the dollar, but it's like 50 cents in the dollar. And so from the 1st to the 10th, you get to go in there, put in a random bid. If you live in the US, I ship it to you for free. You know, you bid $55.31, that's it. You won $55.31. That's the highest bid. If you're international and you bid, whatever the shipping is, you pay half of that, because there are some items that have to go to places. I cannot eat that shipping. Oh my God. It's $140 to ship like wires. It's bad. But Corona has stopped commercial flights, and commercial flights where you go to, like with your family, there's usually cargo underneath. And since there's nobody flying, there's no cargo, which means everything's fucking expensive. Just warning you on that. Anyway, so yeah, support the channel, participate in the yard sales. I'll answer your questions on platform. It takes me a while because there's so many people asking. If you don't want to wait, feel free to jump to the $10 tier on either Subscribestar or Patreon, where I will get on a private behind-the-scenes Telegram chat with a bunch of other people who all know exactly what's happening all day in my life. When I set up my living room home theater again, like there's a 7.1, actually there's a 6.1 happening right there, and you can't tell. You don't know, but they know. They know the minute I set it up, or actually as I was doing it. I answer your questions with my voice. I could take pictures of items for you. You could take pictures and show them to me. It's a whole lot easier than trying to dick back and forth on PMs. So that's $10 on either one of those platforms. And like I mentioned earlier, Hi-Fi Guys and the Hi-Fi Guys forum, those are great places. If you don't like them, I'll fuck you. I don't know, fuck me. I'll fucking do it. Go hang out somewhere else. But at least, you know, there's no advertisements, because we don't run ads. Because that whole site and forum only costs about $150 a month so far to run it. And that's not bad. That's a pretty good thing. I wish it cost more to run it by having thousands and thousands more people on it. So get on. So any other forums that are about the same size that say they cost a whole bunch of money to run, they don't. They don't. You don't have to run ads yet. So when we're running ads on Hi-Fi Guides, it's huge. Everyone's going to have to get Raycon earbuds to support us. Download that. Click this. I'm going to see you tomorrow. There's no sound demo because it's an amp, and it wouldn't matter. You couldn't measure it anyway.